Hi, this is the Meet Mark podcast, and welcome back. Today, I want to talk about a subject that I find near and dear to my heart. I call it the assholes lose 99% of the time. And I bring that up because most of us professionally bump into these types of folks here and there. And I also want to let it be known that they're rare, very rare. And it does us no benefit to approach any meeting, conversation, relationship with the sense that these types of people are going to be there. We need to come into things with an open heart and open mind and assume we're going to learn and benefit from the relationship, because that's what almost all of business is. It's just occasionally there's certain kind of folks that can get up and really do things that knock you off your pins. And the reason I came up with that particular term is that I spent a lot of time and a lot of money writing employee manuals. And when you get legal people involved, you are writing page upon page of things that you think, or I think, are very basic rules of the road, human conduct. And it can get very frustrating. And you're like, get out of here. Really? We have to tell somebody not to do that? I used to do this with a couple guys that I was writing it with that worked for me or worked with me, shareholders actually. And I used to say to them sometimes when we were in the middle, but I said, we should have an easier rule. And the easier rule was this: cut down, a little crude, but nonetheless, I felt like it cut to the chase. And it said, don't be an asshole. That's rule number one. Number two is, if you don't know what an asshole is, I would argue that you are one. And in a way, when I go through these employee manuals, that's what I want to say. I just want to say, good Lord, we're talking about basic human courtesies here. And aside from some of the legal issues of maternity leave and things of that nature, most of them are relative to the way two people conduct themselves amongst themselves in a setting in an office. And when I would watch these videos that they would take us through of examples of people being not following the rules of the road, I thought, good Lord, of course that's wrong. How would anybody need to have that explained? Well, apparently they're out there. And like so many things, we write rules and laws to handle those exceptions to our society or the like. So enough on that. The reality is these types of folks do exist. And as an example, I thought I'd pull a few out of my memory because they nearly knocked me off my pins. And it's important to realize we can't let these rare and unusual folks bump us off of our objective, and that's to perform well, to be ethical, try and move forward. Competition's great. There's nothing wrong with trying to get past other folks in a selling environment or even any environment in any aspect of the world. And so I had this one guy who worked in my sales group when I was younger. And we were in sales, and basically everybody just went out and ran around like a chicken without a head trying to get business. We had territories, sometimes some shared accounts, but mostly independently operating. Mine was the Southeast, which meant every week I got up, I took off for the Southeast out of Philadelphia. That might be my Florida run. Then I would do my Mississippi run. I would do my, Louisiana run. You go through it, Tennessee, North Carolina, any one of those states, which involved going away on Monday night and coming back on Thursday. Planes, trains, automobiles, the whole thing. Pretty exhausting. And when you came back from that, you were then going to tally up what happened, good, bad, and in between, and hopefully have orders. So whenever I came back, there would always be something going on at the office that was a stir. And I knew exactly what it was, not what it was, but I knew who it was. And my peers who I enjoyed and hung out with would report to me, dude, you can't believe what this guy's been saying around here. And I was like, oh, God, don't tell me. I can't handle it. Don't tell me. Well, it would always be some sort of tooting his own horn or some way or another deceptively saying something about other people that was not complimentary. Or at other times, an example was I had gotten a big chunk of business and he alleged that he was a big part of helping me get that done, which is not true. I would never ask this guy for help. I don't like him. So why would I ask him? Well, as time progressed and many years later, these two or three guys that I work with had moved on to different careers, thankfully continued to do well and chatted a lot about each other's positions in life and where we were, all that. And fortunate for me, I ended up having an opportunity to get my own business. I did it. I know I did some things well. I think I just worked hard, and when an opportunity presented itself, I jumped. And that was good. I performed well, and I'm proud of myself for that. In the meantime, this fellow still remains where he was at the company he was at, or we were at. And I think what I thought was the bosses not acknowledging it or not knowing it, or they did. That deep inside they knew this fellow wasn't ready for the prime time. And as long as he would keep quiet and just be kind of moany and backstabby, not past what would be, illegal, that he could remain there. But it was maybe not refreshing, but it was nice to see that the cream did rise to the top. And I've always been a big believer in business and in life. The cream rises to the top. Sometimes slowly, sometimes quickly, but it will rise to the top. And that faith has kept me with my eyes on the ball. Because folks like this can really knock you off, especially if you're young. And the most important thing to do is keep your blinders on. You can look at those folks, you can get upset at those folks, but in the end, you have to do your job. No one's going to want to hear at the end of a year, I didn't do well because Joe got me all upset, or because I thought so-and-so spoke poorly of me. That doesn't count. In business and in life, we need to get things done. And we are going to run into folks like this. They are rare. And we just have to find a way to mentally, spiritually, whatever it may be, recalibrate ourselves and stay focused. And in the case of a job, don't quit because of a person like this. Then they win. That's how I looked at it. Now, I'm not going to lose sight of my goals because of one person this way when there's such a minority. There is one instance where I would say it's really problematic and maybe you should just get out of Dodge. Now, there's the one problem where you got this person who's this rare jerk, and you finally think to yourself, I have to subtly say something to the boss. Now, I don't want to tip my hand and say something nasty or get called in or become performing like that person did. So I want to just go in there and feel it out subtly and see if the boss will tip his hand. And it's not uncommon that if you have a good boss, they may not say it, but you clearly get the impression that this individual who is your boss sees it and is going to do something, take some action to stop it. Well, there's another problem. What if that boss is also a jerk and he's friends with the jerk? So now we have double jerks on both sides of you. That's the peer and the boss. And sometimes they're formed a little group and they have each other's back. And for all you know, they're part of the boss above the boss. And they're all jerks. So what do? Quit. It's time to get out of Dodge. That's a double rare situation. But in that case, you got to leave. Don't leave without another paycheck. Don't just walk up and go, I'm leaving. Start looking for a job. Let the jerks pay you while you look for another job. And then when you get that job, you courteously resign. You give them 2 weeks. You don't say anything bad. You don't speak poorly of them to anybody professionally. You just leave. So let me conclude a wrap up. These bad people, who I called assholes, they do exist. And they're nasty. And I feel like their job in life is to knock you off their pins, off your pins. Don't let it happen. Forge through. Most importantly, these are rare, and we don't want to let them taint all the many good relationships we can make in our business world, because that's what makes business fun. It's the people around us, it's the peer groups, it's the customers, the overall market that we're in. They're very satisfying. And don't lose sight of that because of one bad apple. So, that's going to conclude today's podcast, and I hope that's helpful. Thank you.